Hardik Pandya is a brand ambassador, and I think Hardik Pandya is also the investor at the LenDenClub. So, what do you think that Hardik Pandya would be the best to represent your brand?
So when Hardik became investor, I had no idea what kind of person he is. But when I met him for the first time, I realized there is a resemblance between we as a company and how he as a person is. When we were going for our first brand ambassador, I always wanted somebody who resembles with the personality of LenDenClub. The strength of Hardik Pandya was almost similar to what LenDenClub had shown in the previous years.
Bhavin, what was that aha moment or the bit spark which made you think that, come on, I will build the LenDenClub?
So it was definitely from a real life experience. So when I used to work with one of the NBFC raising capital for them, I used to manage the banking relationships also. One of my colleagues did not get loan from one of the big private bank, and that triggered a question in my mind that why he did not get the personal loan. And it was a very small amount, like 40,000-50,000 rupees, which he required for some very urgent family need. When he was denied, he reached out to me. He said, "देखिए आप कुछ कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर." When I spoke to the branch manager, the reason was like it's a small amount, and second, we cannot give loan to this person because he works in a company which has delayed some EMIs 4-5 years back. Not default, delayed some EMIs. So I said, first of all, there shouldn't be direct connection between an individual and the place where he is working. Both has a different intention.
So how LenDen decides whom to lend? What weightage you give to CIBIL score or something you are doing smarter with data?
See, I can't disclose the exact credit model, how it works, but it considers anywhere between 200 to 800 data points.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of UpperCrust Insights, where we decode the minds that are shaping the future of India. Today we have someone with us who has completely reimagined the traditional lending space in India. Not with the long banking lines and endless paperwork, definitely, but with the innovation, data, technology, and just a mobile screen. He is a co-founder and the CEO of the LenDen, India's leading peer-to-peer lending platform, Mr. Bhavin Patel. Bhavin, welcome. Super excited to have you.
My pleasure.
So, Bhavin, before we jump into the serious stuff, definitely, I wanted to ask, as a kid, did you ever thought you would be in a fintech or building something like LenDen, or you were just thinking something entirely different, like football, cricket, because I heard you were very big on sports.
Right. No, absolutely. So when I was in engineering, I never thought that I'll get into finance field. Frankly speaking, I used to hate financial concepts as well. Though I was good with it, but I did not like it. My inclination was more on the event management side or building a sports company. So you won't believe, in 2009, I reached out to a couple of founders who were running sports companies at that point in time. But unfortunately, nothing happened. And when I landed up in my first job, I was thinking like why I'm selling financial products. But as like a lot of time, your thought process changes or you start loving what you are doing. So that is what happened to me. Definitely, it was not a love at first sight. But when I started selling the financial product, I started understanding it more. I started getting more interest into it. So in my first job, I used to sell securitization models to bank treasuries and mutual funds. And as and when I went deeper inside, I realized the whole world is around these concepts. So why don't I get little more deeper? And then there was no limit. I started loving the financial concept. Securitization became my first love. I used to spend hours understanding more about how the global securitization market works, what are the differentiation point between India, the Western markets, developed markets, emerging markets, and all. So yes, it wasn't something which I was thinking about when I was in college, but I fall for it, and rest is a history now. 18, 19 years, I'm like a finance guy.
Definitely, the rest is a history. So, Bhavin, if today you weren't building the LenDen Club, so what else we would have find you doing? everything that you might have planned, but things were not in your favor, maybe.
I started my first business, which was also into financial services. That I started in 2009. We were two of us who thought about it, ran it for around 3 years. Post that, I got little inclination towards building electronics business. So I spent couple of years time understanding that market. Very few people in this world knows about it, but I spent quite a lot time because when I took admission into my engineering, electronics and telecommunication, I did it because during my childhood days, I used to participate in projects related to electronics. So in my home, in my room, you will find a corner where you will see all kind of batteries, motors, and all. And I used to make hovercrafts. I used to make something which flies a little bit higher than the land. So hovercrafts runs on the water, but I was thinking if we can make something for land. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist today also, but I had some kind of inclination towards it. So I went to electronics and telecommunication thinking I will build something into chip side or semiconductor side. But in India, unfortunately, that industry was not available and I didn't want to go out of India. So I switched to marketing. I went for MBA and took up the job. But this was a period of 2012 when I thought maybe I should give another shot to my previous likings of the school days. So I spent a lot of time. I spent time on how the global electronic industry works, what will fly in India. So my calculation was that in India, big screen phones will take off like anything. That's where I started working, but it did not take off as well as I didn't want to start it because again, I had started liking finance and that was fascinating, more fascinating than the electronic side by that time. So I went back and started working on the uh, other loan business, and that is where the LenDenClub concept started happening.
Very interesting. So Bhavin was always, innovative, right? So okay, Bhavin. So let's get back to the day zero. Bhavin, what was that aha moment or that spark which made you think that, come on, I will build the Lane Club? Was it some sort of gap in the industry or some personal frustrating experience or just an itch to build something that lasts or make impact?
So it was definitely from a real life experience. So when I used to work with one of the NBFC raising capital for them, I used to manage the banking relationships also. So one of my colleague did not get loan from one of the big private bank, and that triggered a question in my mind that why he did not get the personal loan. And it was a very small amount, like 40-50,000 rupees, which he required for some very urgent family in need. When he was denied, he reached out to me, सर देखिए आप कुछ कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर. When I spoke to the branch manager, the reason was like it's a small amount, and second, we cannot give loan to this person because he works in a company which had delayed some EMIs 4-5 years back, not default, delayed some EMIs. So I said, first of all, there shouldn't be direct connection between an individual and the place where he is working. Both has a different intention, right? Even if let's say company delayed or defaulted on anything, it doesn't mean I as a person will default on my loans. It's a, I mean, wrong
Huh.
uh, probability connection between two different objects. Second thing was the amount part, that why somebody is applying for a loan of 40-50,000 not being processed by larger financial institutions. So the reason behind was the cost factor, that they don't make money at that level, so not interested, and their infrastructure is not meant to process such a small ticket size things. So both the pointers triggered thought process that why don't I start a lending business where we give loans only for small requirements, and also we come up with a complete new way of underwriting these loans. So traditional way of, like, there was a huge component or a huge weightage of person's CIBIL score, and there was a huge weightage of where he is working.
Right.
Whereas I feel yes, CIBIL score definitely has some kind of weightage. There is a connectivity, but you can still reinterpret rather than taking the exact score. And second, I do not feel that there is a direct correlation between my intent to pay the loan and where I am working. right? It's completely independent. So the idea was to start a lending business where we give a small ticket size loan, and we solve these two problem which exist in the market.
Quite interesting. So, Bhavin, the peer-to-peer lending concept is entirely new in India. So, in very simplest language, how would you explain peer-to-peer lending to someone like my dad or my grandparents?
Right. So it is nothing but how we used to help our friends and family members earlier. Like somebody wanted to start a business of 5 lakh rupees, 4 5 different family members will give some amount and he will start the business. Peer to peer lending is also saying that somebody wants 1 lakh rupees, 4 5 10 different people comes together and give that money.
Right.
Only difference is earlier it used to happen in the known circle, but because P2P lending is legitimate in India, it is regulated. Now you can go to such digital platform and do it. So sitting in Vadodara or Ahmedabad or Mumbai, you can give money to anybody in Manipur or Kashmir or even in Kanyakumari.
Yes, it was very interesting, Bhavin. How you have grown a small idea into a very big platform. Now, I also have gone through the data. You have landed 16,000 plus crore worth of loans. What was a very unexpected thing in this journey? If you can share something about what was the unexpected or very surprising thing that you have come across?
So when we started this business in the second or third year, we realized a fact that we need to increase or strengthen our distribution network on the loan sourcing side. So we started sourcing a lot of borrowers via DSA network. We felt the DSA network will be much better sourcing quality because they know customer directly, but it went the other way around. And we realized that a lot of time they manipulate the customer. Lot of time they push customers to take loan from multiple channels at the same time, and that deteriorates the capacity of repayment at the customer level. So let's say his salary is 30,000 rupees, and if he takes a loan from 3 4 different institutions, ending up with like 30 35 हजार का monthly EMI liability against the 30,000 salary, जो practically impossible to service. राइट, तो ये सब चीज़ें हमें पता चली, तो एक अंदाजा था कि DSA चैनल विल बी मच बेटर, बट एक्चुअल हुआ उसका ऑपोजिट. तो आफ्टर 1 1.5 year we started reducing that exposure and ultimately we removed our dependency.
So, you told something very interesting that, it credit score, CIBIL score का component, then where the borrower is working, उसका बहुत high weightage है. So, how लेन-देन decides whom to lend? कि मतलब लेन-देन so what weightage you give to CIBIL score or something you are doing smarter with data. So, how I wanted to understand this aspect as well.
So see, I can't disclose the exact credit model, how it works, but it considers anywhere between 200 to 800 data points. Now, let's say if you have ever looked at the CIBIL report, it is not just one score.
Right.
There is a lot of data comes along with the score. For example, अगर आप मेरा देखोगे तो I will have 3 4 credit cards. I'll have a couple of loans, one home loan, and multiple credit line, right? If I have made multiple repayments over the period of last 5 or 10 years, one can understand the consistency in payment. If there is any change in the behavior in between, कि कोई ऐसा पीरियड आया हो जब मैंने रिपेमेंट थोड़े डिले किए हो, फिर वापस नॉर्मल कर दिए हो, या कोई ऐसा पीरियड आया हो जब मैंने एक्चुअल डिफ़ॉल्ट किया हो, मेरा लोन एनपीए हो गया और फिर वापस से मैंने ठीक किया हो, राइट? So these are different behavioral trait of the borrowers. Now we as a company understand these data points, and over the period of last 10 years, we have data of millions of people and behavioral pattern of those millions of borrowers. So we know both the side that if your data says this, what could be the end result? Whether you will end up paying on time, whether you will delay little bit but pay back the whole amount, or whether you will be NPA, probability of
Yes.
NPA of your loan. So we understand those data points and we come up with the possibility of default at that loan level. So whatever we feel that can result into default gets rejected. So the loans which you see as a lender on our platform, like out of 100, only 5 or 6 loans made to you.
Hmm.
Rest 94 95 loans get rejected because they are not appropriate for you to lend money. So as a platform, we do that whole difficult work before you lend any money to any borrower.
Oh, so there are a lot of things happening at the back end also,
Right.
right? Also, in India, I have noticed that, there is a lot of push towards the secured lending. Everyone wants safety. Either you give them low land, gold, or some sort of property. But if we want real economic growth, then there should be a push towards the unsecured lending as well, right?
Right.
So, what do you think about this thing?
See, security is a, mm, I would say it's not something impossible. A lot of time you feel it's a secure,
Hmm.
but when you actually try to impose the security, it doesn't happen. For example, two-wheeler loans. Today you will see that a lot of lending companies, bank or NBFC, repossess the vehicle, but selling that vehicle is a so tedious and long process that they also feel, okay, let it be. I don't want to sell it, let it be. And you will see in a lot of compounds, there'll be new two-wheeler vehicle which will be there for the next 10 years and they will be rusted. Right? So security is a state of mind. The important part is whether it is secured or unsecured. What has been historical performance and what is the probability of future performance, right? So, having said this, there should be a good combination of unsecured loans and secured loan in the economy as well, and that is what the regulator also tries to govern. That the ratio between this should not be deteriorating, or let's say if it becomes like 50-50, there is a too much of unsecured lending happening in the economy, and when regulator notices such changes at the larger level, they try to control it out as well. So if you look at last couple of years, RBI took such action 2-3 times. They increased the risk weightage for larger banks towards the unsecured lending. So that is the action to reduce the unsecured lending exposure. So both are good as well as bad. Anything in excess is not good. So if you give excess unsecured loans in the market, that may bring overheating of the economy, because suddenly the consumption will go up and the demand of the goods go up and the prices will go up. So again, the consumers affordability will go down, so they will go and ask for more lending, they will require more money. So suddenly the inflation rate will go up and the central bank's target will get affected. So there is so many points which are always moving, so the regulator has to look at all the points. So both secured lending and unsecured lending has its own pros and cons. At this moment in P2P lending, only unsecured lending is allowed, because in secured lending, I think the traditional lending institutions are doing justifiable amount of business, and people are able to get their secured loans. On the unsecured side, there are so many segments available in the market where people are still unable to get loans, and I personally feel that was the reason why the regulator kept it unsecured lending for P2P platforms.
Right. Interesting. Also, on your platform, you recently introduced manual lending. This seems a bit of risky to me because everyone wants high rate of interest, but they may foresee the risk that is associated with it. But on the other hand, it also gives power to the investors. So, what are your views on that? Like, why did you introduce this thing on your platform?
So first of all, manual lending has been always there. Out of 10 years, 9 years, we used to have manual lending as one of the option to our lenders, because that empowers lender. And today, a manual lending, or even if you use the filtered lending to make the lump sum loan offering to multiple borrowers, both gives you same power. The only difference is the way customer understands that as a product and does the lending transaction. Second thing is, I give very classic example for such kind of question to my team also, that honeybee flies because it doesn't know the physics. So you came across the manual lending on our platform maybe very recently, but that used to exist, and a lot of lenders have taken benefit of it. So if you try to understand it, there are many things which you can learn from the borrower's behavioral pattern, the kind of control parameters we give you. So for example, if you are investing in stock markets, right? So you may look at sector, you may look at size of the companies, you may look at whether this company offers dividend or not, whether this is profitable, whether this has a profit above this layer. So so many things, so many ratios are there to filter out. Same thing happens with the borrowers also. It is like the more time you spend into it, you will be able to understand little bit more. So I have seen lenders who have got even better returns than small cap investments. But again, you have to be little expert. So as a platform or as a technology company, what we provide is, if you are pro into it, you do it your way. If you are not pro, you try to diversify among more number of borrowers so that you can leverage the technology, right? So it's completely up to you. I would suggest that you also try it out maybe after this podcast. Put 50,000, 1 lakh rupees and see the results. Next time when you meet me, you give me party all proper.
Yeah, definitely. Also, so when someone is lending, so there is also there is also NPS that you mentioned, right? So how do you handle those defaults and NPAs? Now, let's say if someone stop, so if someone has borrowed and they stop paying you, then how do you tackle those things?
So we have a full-fledged collection mechanism, right? And that's a service which we provide as a platform. So as per regulation, we can provide our lenders collection as a services, and under collection services, we have a full-fledged team of around 50 members who continuously track the borrowers who delays their borrower EMIs, how to recollect those money, and we continuously monitor them. We continuously follow up with them using technology, calling services, and if the loan ticket size is higher, we even reach out to the borrower's home or office premises as well. So the way any lending institution manages the collection part, we also manages that. And you as a lender, even if you have a smaller portfolio, you get the same benefit of a larger institution.
Right. Now, let's talk about the numbers. How LenDen is growing right now. If you can just give me a sense of it. So, I have read that you have disbursed around 16,000 plus crores of loan. What's the right now the amount that is outstanding in the market, and how it has been growing from the last few months? If you can just tell us about that.
Sure. So we as a platform has disbursed 16,000 crore plus of loan. Today the outstanding will be around 1,000 crore. It means that out of 16,000 crore loans, 15,000 crore money has already gone back to the lender's bank account along with its return. Probably it will be a few hundred crore worth of returns which are already sent back to the lender's account. And today, as on date, 1,000 crore is available in terms of outstanding loan on the platform.
Also, when you are talking about the infrastructure, so now you are doing a small ticket size loan, let's say 10, 20, 30,000, but you would require same kind of infrastructure with someone who is into the large ticket size loan, let's say 10, 20 lakhs. So how do you manage, because the cost would be also high for the servicing those loans? So how do you manage and control the cost on that parameters?
So we, first of all, we do not give loans like 20, 30 lakhs as per the P2P lending norms. We cannot go beyond 10 lakh rupees.
Right.
The average ticket on our platform will be around 55,000 rupees. So the problem statement on which we started working, which I mentioned to you also, is one of the reason why banks or NBFCs were not processing a small ticket size loan was the cost of processing.
Yes.
So from the very first day, we focused on that part, and we use technology very heavily, whether it is to source the borrower, whether it is to process the borrower, or to recollect money back from the borrower. Everywhere there is a lot of usage of technology so that we don't need to use manpower at all. And hence our cost of processing at all these three level is much, much better than many of the lending institution in India. And hence we are able to process even 5,000 rupee loan with some amount of profit.
Oh, it's quite interesting. So on the tech side, I believe that's your biggest strength, right? So how technology helps LenDen Club from starting from giving out the loans to someone and to the recovery? What role does the technology plays here?
Lot of everything is done by technology only. In collection also there is just maybe 5 or 10% effort which is put up by actual people. Rest all things are being managed by technology only.
Oh, and now with the growth of AI, how are you seeing the AI? Are you already using it, or you are planning to implement it somewhere?
In many places,
Like,
starting from bringing the customer to the platform, assessing the borrowers in a right way, choosing right customers for you as a lender, and collecting money back. Everywhere we use multiple models to predict probability of default, probability of delay the EMI, probability of customer becoming an NPA if he or she is not being followed up. Everywhere we use it. We started building our AI team way back in 2021. So it took around 2.5 years for us to understand how we will be able to use artificial intelligence or machine learning in our models. And now last 1.5, 2 years, we have been leveraging it a lot.
Oh, that's quite interesting, Bhavin. Now, Bhavin, also recently the P2P industry has gone through the regulatory changes. I won't go into the headlines, but I want to know from your side, being a founder of a LenDen, how did it affected you? Did that shaken up your confidence, or it pushed you hard? कि that come on, अब तो और करना है, अब तो और push करना है. How it was on your side?
दोनों में से कुछ भी चीज़ नहीं हुई थी. Why we should shaken up? See, regulation will always keep evolving. Whether we look at the banking sector or mutual fund, time to time regulations changes. As and when industry cross one threshold, regulator will change certain things. Because at every stage there is a difference in terms of what transparency is required between the institutions and the customers. So I believe the last year revision in the regulation was also from that angle, that certain kind of product should not exist or certain transparency is required. So those changes happened. As a company, we were already prepared. So when the regulation change happened, out of 10 things, we were compliant on the 9 parts. Only one part was there where we needed to spend some time and get it done. So we took around 15-20 days time, came back with it. Second thing is at LenDenClub, everybody thinks in only one direction. That okay, this situation has arisen. Now how do we solve this? Rather than we think why this has happened, or if this had not happened, some we would have done this much. So we don't think like this. We all always think that okay, this problem has arisen, let's solve it so that we reach on our goal in the same way what we would have reached without it.
This clarity, I believe, has helped the LenDen Club a lot because many of the peers were shaken up after the regulatory changes, of course. So, also, as a part of the regulatory changes, there was this T+1 which was implemented. I heard from a lot of lenders when they, don't select a loan that they want to lend. So, in just next day, it will get reverted to their bank accounts. So, I believe that would be a bit of complication or a bit of challenge from the LenDen Club's perspective. So what do you think? Should they change, or, so T+3 or T+5 should be implemented by the authority, or what do you think about this?
See, if you are asking whether we can have a better option than T+1, yes, absolutely. T+5 would be the optimal solution. Good for borrower, good for lenders, because that will reduce the number of time money goes back to the lender account, or how borrower repays the EMI. So T+5 will be optimal. Now, if you are asking a question that whether T+1 is implementable or not, yes, implementable. Technology has answer. We had to put some more people also on the job to make the reconciliation part possible. Uh, it is little costly affair, and it took around 3-4 months for us to get it implemented in right way. Right now, we would be like 98% efficient in terms of T+1 management. But if it is increased to T+5, the product adoption will go up, and the compliance cost which we are incurring today will be going little bit down. So it will be good win-win for everybody, customer as well as platform.
Oh, that's great. Also, you brought in Hardik Pandya as a brand ambassador, and I think Hardik Pandya is also the investor at the LenDen Club. So, what made you brought? So, what made you think that Hardik Pandya would be the best to represent your brand? What does it represent for the LenDen Club?
So when Hardik became investor, I had no idea what kind of person he is. But when I met him for the first time, I realized there is a resemblance between we as a company and how he as a person is. Definitely in market perception, there could be various different things which people would know. But as a person, he was a kind of fighter. The way you see, we as a company turn around the difficult, turbulent times, right? And came up and become the industry leader now. Right now, we would be commanding like 90-95% of P2P loan origination in the whole country. I saw the similar kind of trait and the way he was narrating some of his experiences and the past incidents. I saw that both has some kind of similarity. And when we were going for our first brand ambassador, I always wanted somebody who resembles with the personality of LenDenClub, right? Definitely everybody has pros and cons, but those the strength of Hardik Pandya was almost similar to what LenDenClub had shown in the previous years. So that made us a good combination. And today you see last 3 4 years the way Hardik has grown up in his career. He came back to Mumbai now, very essential part of the team and all. Now you can connect it even more.
Right, right. There are very much similarities between the career of Hardik Pandya and the Lane Club story, definitely. So now, looking ahead, Bhavin, what are you planning? Can we see a super app kind of thing from the Lane Club? Are you planning some more product pipelines, or you are just going to focus on the core product that you are doing right now?
So we will continue focusing on this product. But definitely there will be one view, and we are in process of building couple of more things for our customers. Again, it will not be something which is being offered in the market. We'll try to bring something which is not available to these customers, or it can provide a good opportunity with better returns compared to the traditional product. At this moment, I won't be able to disclose it. Again, super app is a concept. I don't think there's that many new investment option can be brought to the customers. So definitely it will not be an app with 10, 15 different investment option. But there are a couple of things where we are working on uh, our customer segment that it is not available in the market, but we provide those customized things to our lenders and customers.
Nice. That was quite interesting. So, Bhavin, today a lot of young people want to become a founder. Okay, but it's not all about the Shark Tanks and all the sunshine. So, what's that one real truth, hardcore truth that no founder tells about? If you can just share the whole story you have been through this to the young people who is planning to start something on their own.
Nobody can tell you. You have to experience it. If you want to experience, come and join Lending Club team. You will see demo of how it happens, and probably that will give you strength of starting something in future.
Okay, Bhavin, this was insightful, honest, and it got me a lot of clarity. And believe all those viewers also will walk in a smarter way. So yes, this was very interesting. Thank you for joining in.